Hey, what's going on? I hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. It is Saturday, right? Okay, I think it is. I'm all turned around. Regardless, today I wanted to speak with y'all briefly about the topic of forgiveness. This is such a loaded topic that I'm aware that just a few minutes will not do it justice, that we could talk about this for hours on the many nuances. But here are some thoughts I want you to chew on. If you are struggling to forgive somebody, just think about some of these things. I'm going to try to make this personal so that I'm not like talking at you, okay? When I forgive, it releases me. It releases me of all of the torment and the anguish and the grief. There are certain aspects of grief that will still be there depending on the circumstance if we choose to dwell on them. But forgiveness is about me being released from the torture. When I choose not to forgive someone, I am mulling over all of the injustices, all of the ways they have offended me. I am blaming them for the offense. I'm saying it's their fault. If they had only been different, then I wouldn't be so offended. And offense and forgiveness are so closely tied, the topics are so closely tied together. I want to offer to you that offense even is something that we create for ourselves, that another person cannot possibly offend us if we are the ones thinking our own thoughts. And then, okay, so if someone, let's just say, let me use a situation that very well could happen with my husband and me. So let's say that I ask Jeremy repeatedly to do something, pick his socks up off the floor. And I ask him all the time. And I'm trying to choose not to get angry. And I'm trying to utilize self-control. And I'm like, please pick up your socks. Come on. And then he doesn't pick them up. This is actually something that I have worked through because he has left his socks on the floor a number of times, and we've talked about it, but I used to just be so offended. And I know the situation of socks on the floor might seem like an innocuous and, just stupid situation, but it's an everyday real situation. So apply this to other offenses that people may have. His socks are on the floor. I ask him all the time, pick them up. Please pick them up. Why are these socks here? Where did these socks come from? Why are they in my space? Why are they littering the floor? Pretty soon I start thinking, Jeremy doesn't care about me. If he cared about me, he would pick up the socks. And I'm like, in this drama, in this mind drama, in this story, I'm not worthy of love because he is not showing me love. Therefore, I'm just not worthy of it. I must not be good enough. I'm going to lash out at him because when I feel like I'm just not good enough, I just start reacting to everything. If he loved me, he'd pick them up. If he cared about me, he'd pick them up. And then I start looking for all of the other evidence in my life where he doesn't care about me and isn't concerned about me. And it starts becoming this humongous thing that the socks become this representation of how he values me. And I start looking for all the evidence to show that he doesn't really care. Now, I'm making this socks on the floor about something that it has nothing to do with. He loves me regardless. And I know that. And so what I have learned to do is to not be offended at the socks on the floor. And when I was offended by the socks on the floor, I would be that feeling of offended would result in me having actions towards him where I'm just acting out at him and being passive aggressive and being critical of him and making snide remarks and, just being kind of like seething and being like mouse in a corner, like fighting. I've never seen a mouse. I have seen a mouse in a corner. They didn't really fight. Anyway, I was just like not happy and just being aggressive just because I'm offended. Well, when I realized I'm causing my own suffering here, when I realized my thoughts and my feelings are my responsibility, as are my actions, it allowed me to think, okay, why am I choosing to be offended right now? What am I thinking to make myself offended? I can't believe he's doing this to me. He shouldn't treat me like this. I deserve better. Those thoughts made me feel offended, not the socks on the floor. Anybody else could have walked into the room, seen the socks on the floor, and thought, I'll pick up the socks. Okay? Anybody else. But me, I made a whole story about it. So, forgiveness is me choosing to forgive him. And while it lets him off the hook in a way, it really is about letting me off the hook. Because I'm not the one manufacturing all of that offense and irritability and passive aggressiveness and then justification for all of the negative behavior and actions. I get to breathe and just pick up the socks. And I can still have expectations of him, but it's not, my expectations are no longer tied to my emotions. Or let me say it this way. His actions and my emotions are separate things now. I've learned the boundary of me where I end and Jeremy's behavior begins. His behavior I'm no longer enmeshed with his actions, thinking that his actions mean something about me. I've learned that healthy boundary that my thoughts cause my feelings. And so it freed me up to just be a different person around him, to be a better version of myself, a more relaxed version of myself. And I've been able to get over the socks. Like, it's been wonderful. And now, because I've been able to get over that, I see all of the times that he actually does pick up his socks. But when I was so focused on it, thinking, he doesn't pick up his socks. When I was so focused on that, I never saw the times that he did do it because I was looking for all of the evidence where he was missing it and not doing what I'd asked him to do. It's really cool. He really hasn't changed that much. Like, he'll pick them up sometimes and sometimes he won't. But it's really cool how my brain went to all the negative when I was dwelling on the negative. And when I released him from it and decided I'm taking responsibility for my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions and my actions, I thought, why am I going to be offended at this? Why am I going to choose to be offended? I'm the one that's like suffering here. I'm the one that's having to deal with all of the anxiety that I'm creating, and I'm the one that's having to just fight to be nice around him. Like, what's all that drama for? It's not benefiting anybody. So when it comes to offenses and forgiveness, there's so many misconceptions. I used to believe that forgiving someone meant a perfect restoration of the relationship the way that it was, which could set me up boundaryless because I had no boundaries. It would set me up to be hurt again and again and again because I didn't realize where I ended and they began. Reconciliation, a restoration of a relationship, is not forgiveness. Those are two separate things. Restoring trust and forgiveness are two separate things. When we think that forgiveness is about reconciliation or forgiveness is about trust and restoring that trust, we're setting ourselves up for the same thing to happen in the future. Reconciliation is focused on a healthy future with proper boundaries. Let's put those boundaries up, people. Let's get ourselves boundaried so that we can protect and guard our hearts like we are instructed to in Proverbs 4. It's a beautiful thing to guard your heart. I remember like being in my I'm still in my early 30s. Several years ago, I thought how does one guard their heart? I don't even understand how to do that. And it's because I had no boundaries. I didn't know how. So expecting people to behave in a particular way in order for us to be happy is playing with fire. Sometimes it's warm and it feels great, and sometimes you get burned. When we hand off our feelings and our emotions to other people and say they're responsible, it's because of them that I'm happy, or it's because of them that I'm sad, or it's because of them I'm offended, or it's because of them I feel alone, or whatever. When we hand over our God-given responsibility for our emotions to other people, sometimes it's great and we feel wonderful because of the people we're around, and then other times we're miserable because of the other people that we're around. But it puts us in a victim role. We're like, we have no power because we've just handed it away. I want to encourage you, if you're struggling with forgiveness right now towards somebody else, they have offended you greatly and you just can't get over their actions. Maybe they haven't apologized and you expect other people to apologize when they have offended you. And until they apologize, you won't be okay. You'll still harbor that grudge in your heart and you'll still dwell on all of the negativity. Think for a moment, who is it hurting? And who is it benefiting to keep that unforgiveness in your heart? You could totally let it go. And in an instant, have healing in your heart. That forgiveness could instantly transform you, where you're not the one suffering the hurt and the anguish over all of the negative thoughts and negative beliefs that you have about the relationship. Healing can happen in an instant. It doesn't have to take time. So many times we think, I'm going to forgive, but the hurt's just going to last. And I've had a couple clients tell me this, and I'm thinking, why does it have to take time? And so I ask them, why does it have to take time? Why can't you just forgive? It's not forgive and forget isn't forgetting about the action that they took. It's just forgetting that they owe you a debt. That expecting an apology is a debt they owe you. And when you forgive, you just let it go. Like, they don't owe me that anymore for me to be happy. I'm in control of my happiness. It's really beautiful when you're able to forgive and forget the debt that they owe you. And like I said, it's not reconciliation. It's not restoring the relationship to where it was. It's not trusting them blindly. Those things do require boundaries and proof over time that things can be reestablished and gradually trust can build as actions are taken. Just don't confuse forgiveness with reconciliation or with trust, because forgiveness is really, it's all about you. Whenever you forgive, it's all about you. It releases you entirely to walk in peace and in confidence and just a clear mind, a sound mind. That's what forgiveness frees you up to do. And the decisions you make from a sound mind are going to be so much more dynamic and powerful than the decisions that you make from a mind that is clouded with grief and offense and anything else negative like that. The justification for why they should not have treated you the way that they did. A mind clouded by all of that, a heart that's clouded by all of that, reacts instead of acting intentionally. That's a wounded heart. Okay? Boundaries. Let's get some boundaries up, people. If y'all have questions about boundaries, I'd love to answer them. I'm immersing myself in Dr. Henry Cloud and John Townsend's work on boundaries again because it is so vital to healthy relationships. It is vital to establish clear, healthy boundaries so that we can interact with the world in a healthy way that benefits us and our families and our friends and all the other relationships that we have. It protects us so that we can be our best self. So, if you have any questions, just let me know. If you are interested in forgiving somebody that has hurt you so much and you can't get past it, and it's been years maybe, and you're struggling with that, let me know. This is something that I work with my clients with all the time, helping get over hurts and wounds that just won't heal, that they affect all of the other areas of our lives. If you're wanting to walk in confidence, boldly in the calling that you have been given, and be your authentic self, let me know. We could schedule a consult. We'll talk about working together. We'll see exactly what you need to do, and we'll dive into it. But until next time, I had promised that we would be we would have a guest on one of these lives, but it has fallen through momentarily. But I will let you know in the future when that does happen again, or when that will be happening, and it's just going to be even better in the future. But I love y'all, and I look forward to seeing y'all again soon. All right, have a blessed day. Bye. Mwah.